Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a deeply emotional and political charged topic that have left millions of people across the country shaking. Mass deportation under the Trump administration. Over the past few days, a young woman's heartbreaking story has gone viral, shedding light on just how deeply this issue is impacting immigrants' families, even those who are citizens. Her emotional account has sparked a nationwide conversation about fear, heartbreak, and the sense of uncertainty that many families face in an environment where immigration policy are at the center of heated debates. We are going to unpack her story, explore the broader context, and look at how people are reacting to this.
My immigrant mother just called me on the phone, innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations to prove that she's a citizen. That's so sad. Maybe if the people you voted for just obeyed the laws of this land to begin with, we wouldn't have to have that conversation. They keep voting for people who want to do whatever the hell they want, regardless of the laws. Like, borders don't exist. They do. They do exist. See, like Kamala told you, we all exist in the context. And your mother exists in the context of a country whose leaders allowed 20 million illegal people here into our country, and they are going to have to go home. So quit voting for people who do stupid shit, and then you won't have to explain it to your parents later. It's easy.
Alright, first of all, this never happened. You just made it up. And second of all, where did your mom get an idea that they're going to mass deport U.S. citizens because they weren't born here? Who said that? Has anybody ever said that they're going to deport legal U.S. citizens? So be a good daughter. Instead of sitting here crying like an idiot, call your mom and say, hey mom, listen, stop listening to those stupid channels and the stupid liberals that you listen to, and realize that you did follow the law. You have an American passport. You're safe. You do not need to carry your passport up with you because guess what, mom? You have a state ID or driver's license or whatever it is. Instead, you chose to make a stupid video with your stupid fake cry about a story that never happened. And this is why Donald Trump won, and this is why you guys lose, because you make up stupid things that would never happen in real life. What a moronic video.
So I see a lot of people who are like, I can't believe 60% of Latinos voted for Trump. Do they want to be deported? Why would they vote for somebody who supports mass deportation? Let's apply some logical and critical thinking skills here. If somebody voted, unless they voted illegally, they are a U.S. citizen, meaning they are here legally. So mass deportation does not directly affect that person because they're not subject to deportation. Now, some of you might be like, well, Trump can still like strip them of their citizenship, and he also wants to get rid of birthright citizenship, so immigrants should all be scared. First of all, it's not that easy to strip somebody of citizenship. Usually people are stripped of citizenship if it's found out that they got their citizenship by fraud or misrepresentation. And even then, the government has to want to go after you for it. And then secondly, there's provisions in the law that might still allow the government to not strip you. They could choose to let you keep it. And for birthright citizenship, if you are already here and you were born here and you are a U.S. citizen, they're not going to take away your citizenship if you already got your citizenship by being born here. Because in the United States, there's a prohibition against ex post facto laws. What is an ex post facto law? An ex post facto law is when you pass a law to make something illegal or increase punishments for something that was legal when it happened. So if you got your citizenship through being born here, it was legal for you to get your citizenship by being born here. So the government cannot pass a law today and say, everybody who was born here before this date is now here illegally, because that's an ex post facto law, and it's prohibited by Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution and Article 1, Section 10. So they would have to amend the Constitution to even be able to do that. And so many people would be subject, even I think even Trump himself, maybe? No, not Trump. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are birthright citizens. They would not, no. Oh, and also birthright citizenship is granted through the Constitution. So they would also have to amend the Constitution first to get rid of birthright citizenship.
Schools and the mass deportation plan. I'm going to show you a video of the mayor of Denver, Colorado.
What we're not going to do is support deploying the 101st Airborne into American cities to pull 10-year-old kids out of their classrooms in handcuffs. I think that is immoral, that's unconstitutional, and that's un-American. And so,
You imagine being a teacher in your classroom and having ICE come in and remove your students in handcuffs, because that is exactly what they are planning to do. Our border czar says that's absolutely fine. I will throw him in jail. I will throw the mayor in jail.
Me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail. We're going to enforce the law, period. And they're not going to stop us.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, we do need to protect the border. Now, let me tell you what this mayor said he was willing to do.
I think there are thoughtful ways to solve this problem. If they want to focus on violent criminals, we would be happy to help support pursuing, arresting, and deporting them. We've helped past administrations, we'd do that again. If they want to focus on adding more judicial capacity so folks with asylum claims can have those cases heard more quickly, we would support that.
But that's not good enough. That's not good enough. They want everyone from grandmas, grandpas, down to children. And they want to come into schools and they want to rip those kids from their groups of peers, traumatized and scared, put them in handcuffs and lead them out of the school building. These are American values? This is what it means to be a good human? These are kids at school.
Who are the first people who are in line to get deported as soon as the new administration kicks in? I can tell you those with unexecuted removal orders, including removal orders in absentia, expedited removal orders, and general regular removal orders. Topple that with those that have criminal convictions or are in criminal proceedings. Typically, ICE puts a detainer on a foreign national who has a removal order, and they will pick them up from either the probation office or directly from the criminal facility, keep them in ICE custody, and then go through the proper paperwork in order to deport them from the United States. But I want to stress that this isn't anything new. We've been dealing with this for decades and decades. And keep in mind, under the Obama administration, who had the highest number of deportations than any administration, it was incredibly common for foreign nationals who had the removal orders and crimes to be deported directly from the criminal facility or when they go check in probation. What's happened now is that there are an influx of more people who have removal orders and crimes, and these people are going to be the priority when it comes to enforcing deportation laws in the United States.
Everyone's talking about mass deportation, so here's a quick rundown of the deportation process. First, you're going to get a notice to appear that they're either going to give you by hand or they're going to mail it to your last known address. This notice to appear is going to tell you the date and time and the location of the immigration court that you need to appear at for your master calendar hearing. The notice to appear is a document that's going to state your name, your alien number, your date of birth, and it's going to have some information about you, such as what country you're from, when you came into the United States, and how. And it's also going to tell you why they are deporting you from the United States. They're also going to give you a form to change your address and a list of attorneys that can help you either for free or low cost, as well as nonprofit organizations that can provide pro bono legal services to you. If you do not have the means to hire a private attorney, which sometimes that can cost anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000 and up, you are strongly encouraged to contact one of the pro bono organizations. The sooner you do so, the more likely you are to find an organization that will take your case. Your first immigration appearance is called a master calendar hearing. The government is not going to deport you at this hearing, so do not be afraid. Please do not skip this hearing, because if you do not go, you will get an in absentia removal order, which means that the government can deport you at any time. and it is very difficult to get these taken away. At the master calendar hearing, the judge basically wants to know if you have an attorney, and if not, they usually continue your case to give you time to find one. And they also want to know what your defenses are. Are you going to apply for asylum? Are you going to apply for a green card, withholding of removal, Convention Against Torture, TPS? That's the time where you let the judge know what's going to happen for your case. After the master calendar hearing is going to come the individual hearing. That is when the immigration judge is going to hear your case and decide if you are eligible for any of the immigration benefits you may be applying for. And if not, they may issue you a removal order. If you get a removal order, it's still not the end of the world because you can always file an appeal with the Board of Immigration Appeals. We've got over 3 million cases that are currently pending in immigration court. So the thought that the Trump administration is going to deport 11 million immigrants in one fell swoop, I don't think that's going to happen. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments.
I have to say that at times I feel like I'm living in an alternative universe because there is no way that Trump's potential secretary for the Department of Homeland Security said this.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is it worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Now, let me be clear. It's not that I don't think that Trump and his cronies have the ability to think like that, but the fact that he felt so blatantly comfortable to say that on national television just days before the election, that he thinks is appropriate that America spends $88 billion a year on mass deportation. But no fear, don't worry about separations of families. They're all going to be deported together. That is what he said. And for first-generation immigrants, please do not think that you're safe because you're not. Trump and his cronies believe in abolishing the birthright citizenship, even though Trump is an example of birthright citizenship. Both of his parents were immigrants.
Alright, this story about the young woman whose immigrant mother asked if she should start carrying her passport despite being a US citizen, just in case there are mass deportations, is not just a story, it's a reflection of the anxiety that millions of families are living with every single day. To fully understand the weight of the situation, we have to look at both the personal and political dimensions of what mass deportation policy represents. We are talking about more than just policy changes or political history. We are talking about the real people, mothers, fathers, children, living in fear of losing everything. Imagine this for a moment. Your mom, who worked hard to become a citizen, who probably pays her taxes, contributes to her community, and sees this country as her home, calls you in a panic. She's not worried about her job or her health, but about whether she might be mistaken for someone who doesn't belong here. Think about how that fear takes root in people's lives. It's the small thing, how you speak, how you dress, even how you move in public spaces, that suddenly feel like they could make you a target. And for this young woman to hear her mom, the person who's always been her protector, sounding scared and unsure of her place in her own country, that is devastating. It flips the parent-child dynamic in the most heartbreaking way. But this isn't new, is it? America has a long, complicated history with immigration. From the Chinese exclusion out of the 1880s to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, there is a pattern of targeting groups during the times of political tension. The history during the Trump administration, phrases like "build the wall," "illegal alien," and "criminals" reignited those fears on a massive scale. When the administration floated the idea of mass deportations, targeting 11 million undocumented immigrants, it wasn't just a logistical challenge, it was a physiological blow. Communities felt the ripple effect immediately. Even those who were naturalized citizens or second-generation immigrants began questioning their safety. What if I'm mistaken for someone undocumented? What if I don't have proof on me when they ask? And let's talk about what this fear does to people physiologically. It's not just the immediate anxiety, it's the long-term impact. Kids grow up in the household where their parents are constantly worried. They overhear conversations about deportation rates or what to do if ICE shows up at the door. They see their parents, who they think are strong and invincible, break down in tears. That kind of stress sticks with you. It shapes how you see the world and your place in it. And then there is the isolation. People start avoiding public spaces, skipping doctor's appointments, or not showing up for their kids' school event because they don't want to risk being questioned. It creates this invisible war, not between countries, but within communities, and that is heartbreaking because communities thrive when people feel safe and supported, not when they are constantly looking over their shoulders. Now let's shift gears and talk about the political and public reaction to this. On one side, you have people who support stricter immigration policies. They argue that the law is the law, and undocumented immigrants should face the consequences of entering the country illegally. They say mass deportations are necessary to maintain order and protect jobs for American citizens. But on the other side, critics point out that this policy doesn't exist in a vacuum. They disproportionately affect marginalized communities, often tearing families apart. And when you look at the logistics, how do you deport 11 million people? It becomes clear that such a plan would lead to chaos, economic strain, and an immense humanitarian crisis. And the discourse itself is polarized to the point where it's hard to have a productive conversation. On social media, you will see arguments devolve into name-calling and stereotypes, but what we really need is a nuanced conversation about how to address immigration in a way that is fair, humane, and sustainable. And at the end of the day, this isn't just about policy, it's about people, real people with hopes, dreams, and families. People like the young woman's mom who probably worked tirelessly to build a life here. People like the millions of undocumented immigrants who contribute to the economy and their communities but live in the shadows because they fear being deported. And let's not forget the children, kids who are citizens but whose parents are undocumented. These kids live with the constant fear of coming home from school to find their parents gone. That is a kind of trauma that no child should ever have to experience. So where do we go from here? How do we create policy that respect the rule of law while also acknowledging the humanity of the people affected? How do we have conversations about immigration that doesn't reduce people to statistics or stereotypes? This story about the young woman and her mom is just one example, but it is a powerful reminder of what's at stake. This hasn't just political issues, they are human issues, and until we start seeing them that way, we are going to keep missing the bigger picture. I want to hear from you. How do you think we can address these issues? What is your perspective on immigration policy, and how do you think we can strike a balance between fairness and compassion? Let's keep this conversation going because it's too important to ignore. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let us share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.